di suono.
Buonasera e benvenuti al secondo appuntamento di questo terzo ciclo di Parrole di Suono. Oggi abbiamo il piacere di avere con noi in collegamento da Berlino Katrinem. Welcome, Katrinem. Hi.
Hi.
Katrinem è una sound artist, una performer che ha incentrato la sua ricerca sul paesaggio sonoro, in particolare sullo studio dello spazio sonoro urbano, che lei esplora attraverso l'ascolto ovviamente, ma soprattutto anche attraverso l'ascolto del camminare, l'atto del camminare su cui lei ha fatto diverse performance, diverse ricerche che oggi ci mostrerà. Oltre a questo, oggi ci proporrà anche qualche piccolo esercizio di ascolto. Questa è la prima volta che a Parole di Suono proponiamo anche una attività, diciamo, per chi ci ascolta, poi ve la spiegherà lei stessa durante la lezione. La lezione sarà in lingua inglese e invitiamo il pubblico comunque a fare delle domande, sempre tramite la sezione commenti di Facebook e della diretta su Instagram. Potete fare le domande anche in italiano, sarò poi io a tradurle per voi a Katrinem nella parte finale del nostro incontro. Quindi lascio adesso la parola al nostro ospite e vi auguro buon ascolto. So, Katrinem, I leave the floor to you. You can start your lesson.
Thank you very much for this kind invitation, and I'm really looking forward to work again with Temporeale. I had already the chance to be there in person, unfortunately not today, so we will start now the presentation, and I hope you will enjoy it. Thanks for joining in. Okay, so my name is Katrinem, and I walk and listen. And this is not only my artistic approach, it's also my way of life. So I grew up as a child in an environment. There were a lot of possibilities to walk around. The ways to school, was in a walking distance. So everything was about walking, and even, being in a family with a lot of children. So it was more affordable to walk with the family and get the children tired in the evening as taking any transportation system. So this is me, and you see me with a sun hat. So very often this is my kind of clothes, and also being just around with a sun hat walking around. What is walking and listening for me? It starts quite early with observations. So observation, where do we find places, where do we find streets, and how are people acting by walking? So for example, when you have a huge square, you see a lot of people walking, but how do they walk there? Is there any trace? No. So I started to do my kind of research about walking, the walkability of cities, and I made observations by places, and I choose 2007 such a Gendarmenmarkt in Berlin, which is a huge square, and I observed it with a video camera, and afterwards, in post-production, I started to make a sonification of the footsteps of the people. And I also choose a very special compositorial system, how to use the pattern of the square for also fitting in my musical interest. So please also let's hear a little bit an excerpt of this piece, and we will see now a little video. Okay, so my interest in 2007 was much more also to understand how people are using a plaza like Gendarmenmarkt. And here on this picture, you see I enhanced that the main routes people were walking. So the sonification of this piece was done in such a way that I choose a sinus tone, not a real footstep sound. And why I did it? Because I also would like to concentrate more on the rhythmical pattern of walking. So what does walking mean? So, and what is our gait? We need something like 20 meters of free walking way to find our own rhythm. And I don't have such a huge and big apartment that I can do it at home. So I think public spaces and, for example, huge squares like Gendarmenmarkt are perfectly fitting to show the individuality of the people, the person's gait. And so Gendarmenmarkt was one of the first pieces I did in such a way also to learn about how people act in public by walking. So then I was traveling around and I also did this kind of method on many other cities. Gendarmenmarkt is the only one I only used the sinus tones of the footsteps. In all the other cities, I embedded this footstep sounds, the sonification, into real sounds recorded on site. Also to have a little bit of an idea how is the site and how is the place sounding. This was the observation, and my huge interest started then also in this kind of artistic research. What influence does the built, regulated, and organized urban space and its atmospheric qualities have on our walking behavior and perception of space? So, for example, when I did my place studies in Basel, the time difference between these two pictures are 5 minutes. And you easily can see that, there are things happening, and also you see already streets and lines and crosswalks on the first picture, and how everything could be easily fulfilled in 5 minutes, and where can we walk? So to explore it, I have to change my perspective. So from observing footsteps patterns in space and squares, also to change more to explore it by individual personal experience. It started also to concentrate on walking the ground. And also here, let's hear a little bit, a little video. Thank you. Yeah, most of the time we experience a ground like this, or even nice patterns like this in the urban environment. But we also have to keep in mind that each footstep and each step so every connection from the footstep to the ground is also going through our body. And it's also structuring everything what we hear and what we see. So even, there are not dry leaves on the ground or not some crunchy ice, it still has an effect. So I started to develop the format Paths of Awareness. And I thought, yeah, it's about the personal experience of walking, and there are many different aspects to take care of. So most of the time I started with a site study, of course. Yeah, and the site study is done in such a way by observing and slowly walking around. And then we have a shape and individual audiovisual composition. So I will talk more about it, but let's start with the site studies. So site studies here, for example, when I started to do it in Marseille, so we had special spots and we observed the spots at different daytimes, at different weekdays. And we also made recordings each time to compare it. Is it different? Are there any sounds always the same? So this is a necessary moment also for me when I compose such a path of awareness. What kind of situation can we experience? And it's always making some drawings, also some notes about it. All this kind of material is necessary and has some influence for the score afterwards. So I have a small collection of pictures what I would like to show you, which is influencing our walking. For example, are there walkways offered? Are there obstacles you have to take care, like here in Mexico City? Or here, do you have to watch where you put your step on? Are the stairs? You also can see here that there are some stairs, and it's also nicely done for cars parking in the garage and not really done for people walking along. This is when we worked in Marseille. So stairs also sometimes mean in the city topography. Yeah, and this is a nice stair. It's not fitting for cars, but perfectly fitting for us by walking. Or, we have crosswalks everywhere, but sometimes they are not so well done anymore, or sometimes you could not really reach something on the other side of the street, or, for example, they are just temporary, like here in Linz. I'm very proud. I think I influenced this crosswalk for this temporary time, and yeah, it's not anymore there. I'm quite sorry, but it was quite nice. But what is also stopping us by walking around? So there are a lot of traffic lights organized in such a way that you have to push a button. So, we know this, and then we have to wait. It meant Signal kommt, yeah, like here in Luxembourg. Or you also have to read a lot and also to push the button before you are allowed to cross the street. But there are also things like fountains, which are also nice to walk along or to pass by, yeah. Or here, for example, you can hear the water, yeah, and it's always interesting when you just compose such a path, what kind of variations you can find. But of course, you find places for people to sit down, and sometimes you really start to think about, okay, who placed this bench? What do you really can experience by sitting there? You know, you can see there's a big road, but it's also so organized, like, for example, here in Midtown Manhattan, New York, that you are allowed to walk through the skyscrapers, but there are small revolving doors, and it's a huge threshold between outside and inside. But as you also can see, the revolving doors are quite small, so no wheelchair, no one with a luggage can easily go in. So it's also regulating what kind of people can enter this. Or, for example, like here in Linz, pedestrian street, and in the middle the tram is going, and so there are a lot of trams, so there are not really people walking there. So the crowd is more on the left and on the right side of the street, and this is also influencing how we can walk, because you know you have to adjust your speed and your velocity, what kind of possibilities of walking you have. And for example, here in Marseille, as in many other cities, sometimes parked cars are blocking the walkways and you have to go around. Or for example, here in Tehran, so it's organized in such a way that no car, no bike could go on the walkway, but it also, you have to fit in between this, that you can walk through. And quite often, walking in cities is organized in such a way that you have to make a detour, like pedestrian bridges or here, and they have an unbelievable interesting design, but it's really a detour, and quite often you see people crossing the street without taking the pedestrian bridge. So I think this is in Shanghai. But the design is also quite interesting. Of course, we also find parks in cities with benches and nice walkways, but you also can see that it's some asphalt. So we walk on asphalt there. And everywhere we have this kind of symbols which are saying, okay, here's a pedestrian street, but you know, under the symbols you have all these exceptions. Yeah, so you really have to read it carefully. And as you can see in both pictures, there's always the child going with the parent or with the elder ones by hand. So where can we walk freely? All these things are, I try to embed in my kind of path of awareness, to focus on it when I do a score. So a path is not created in the studio, but during walking. And you see now a picture, me walking in Tehran with my little notebook in the hand, just to mark and to note little details. Here, for example, we have a walkway along a highway. And this is also one of the little shortcuts. Sometimes you find shortcuts for pedestrian, only for pedestrian, not for cars. Like this one, which is really nice because you cross it and you also can hear the water. And here you see some of my notes, what I do. So I really try to note everything, what I can experience, what kind of ground is it? Is there a playground? Is there a coffee place? Because, you know, even when you pass by a cafe and perhaps people are sitting outside, you also can hear voices, you can hear people clapping with the coffee pots or something like that. But also, you know, what kind of streets do you have? Is there a one-way street, or is it is the street organized by traffic light? Is it a speed reduced street? You all can hear these details. So when I compose such a path of awareness, I try to do it in such a way that I really offer a variation of things the city and this special area of the city offers to you. And here, for example, on the left side, you see both maps are Midtown Manhattan. So I was accommodated at the Austrian Cultural Forum, and I started to do and to walk around in many different directions. So what I do when I start to develop such a path of awareness, I don't use any tracking system. I just use my notebook and also to think about when I come to the next crossing. Okay, is it now interesting by listening to my environment? Do I walk now to the left or to the right? So, what kind of sonic variation could be interesting? And this is also why I have to do it quite often. And at the end, I found a route which fits perfectly for what I would like to experience by myself, but also would like to have the audience to experience. And on the right side, you see the shape. So in each city, after this research, a kind of a shape appear. And this is also what I abstract from the map and use it for, as the shape itself, because, you know, you will see it later in different pictures. Each city has also a kind of a system, and like in Midtown Manhattan, you can see the grid, but also in other cities you can see even by just the shape what kind of narrow streets and things are there. So when I did the route, when I found the route, I started to do an audiovisual composition, and for this I used different kind of methods and equipment. And here you see me also a little bit described with all this kind of equipment, so my special clothes, and cameras and audio recording systems. And here, for example, my very special pair of soundful shoes. It's not, they are not amplified in no way, but the shoes have a special format of the heel. The shape of the heel is important, and I also can tune it with different kind of material. So, for example, we all know that shoes can have a sound, but just changing the material on the heel can also change the sound. So I try to find for each city the fitting sound, and this, for example, is done with different kind of hard plastic or leather. So then I use, this is my simple recording gear for audio recording. It's, I still have since many, many years this Sony PCM D50, and I'm so glad it's still working. I use the Soundman binaural microphones, and of course, which is very, very important, the windshield. And yeah, perhaps now we can change to the camera. Yes, hello. Because I also wanted to show you more in person now how this material and my clothes function. Because the clothes is developed for my needs. And what is my need? So it's necessary that even by walking, the clothes itself make no extra sound. And yeah, the clothes is also made in such a way that it has huge pockets. So, this is my PCM50 Sony recorder, and it fits easily here in my pockets. And it's also important for my kind of work that I have equipment which is not quite heavy. It's easily to carry around. So here we have the binaural microphones, and each of my clothes has a little bird here. It's nice to have it, but it has a special reason, because when you put the binaural microphones in your ears and the recorder is there and you're walking, you also can imagine that the wire is always touching the zipper. And it also can make strange things on your recording. So this is why the bird is not only a bird, but it's also to conduct the wire. Yeah. And since I also would like to do some video synchronized with the audio, I developed something which is also fitting quite fine. So I have this kind of GoPro camera here. And when you're walking around with a GoPro camera, and just let me not forget, this is a very important windshield for the audio, because otherwise you would have a lot of wind on your recording. So, but just imagine to walk around with such a camera. Everybody on the street will immediately see, okay, there's someone coming to record. So a good friend of mine, she helped me to develop something like this, and I hope I get it done quite nice. So, and it's covering the camera itself, and here's the windshield. So the windshield is also quite helpful, because people are so much used that we are wearing weird headphones that nobody really cares about it. So with this kind of equipment, I can easily walk around and people are not behaving strange. So thank you for the camera. Now we go back to the presentation. Thanks. But I just wanted to show you it directly. Okay. So here again, the camera, and also this is another camera which I sometimes use to put it on my legs to make some special video things. And why do I use this video and audio thing? Because, you know, I also would like to see what is influencing my walking rhythm. So what is really happening when I'm walking around? What sometimes, you know, when there's a crowd, so you also have to find your way through it. So this is the walking, the video and the audio is an important part for me to do my kind of research. And afterwards, so I don't use the video anymore as a video. I use it with stills, and I train myself to walk. For example, here we have Marseille, to walk this whole route in one rhythm. So this is always a very important thing for me when I develop such a path of awareness, to find one rhythm which fits for the whole route. And when we are listening now to this little excerpt of the path of awareness, La Friche in Marseille, you will hear that I jump in this excerpt to different spots, and my walking rhythm is still the same. So I trained myself over the years just to walk on for 45 or 50 minutes in the same rhythm. Okay, please let us have a look on this video, please. Okay, so I will show you now the score. So, for example, this is a score for what you hear. You know, you hear the different kind of stairs at the beginning. Yeah, we also heard the entrance to the park. We heard also this nice acoustic of this tunnel. So it was really it's also to enhance on this kind of score situations I would like to focus on. And, you know, the scores are made in such a way that people can do it by themselves. Just find your own rhythm and also try to keep it for the whole group, but just follow it. Most of the time I recommend to do it twice, so just to learn about the root and do it a second time and to open up your ears and listen to it. And in the best case, you also wear your best sounding soundful shoes. So this is the score for Marseille, and I also would like to show you the score for Midtown Manhattan, where I also embedded the little revolving doors here, and it was it's also going through different kind of situations like the Central Park and also underground. And here, for example, I also pointed the direction of the car traffic, which is also interesting, because what do we experience when it's a one-way street and the car traffic is always coming in your back? So, or do we like it more when we see the cars approaching to us and to hear it? Yeah. So this is also something what I would like to point out and to make some variations. Here, for example, we have the score for Tehran. I did it in a different way because it's also, you know, you have to find a different language. And here, for example, we have the path for Luxembourg. I did it also in two versions because there's one version for rainy days and not so rainy days, because sometimes Luxembourg has a huge topography, and when it's quite rainy, so then sometimes it's slippery, and perhaps you should choose the other route. And here I made a score for the Humboldt box some years ago. So it's my first tactile score. I produced it on a special swell paper. And so you also can see that I pointed out some where you find trees, because, you know, when you walk along and there's a tree, you also can hear, at special seasons, you can hear leaves, and sometimes the leaves are above you, but sometimes they're already on the ground. So, but also walking along under a tree has a special thing when it's quite hot, so you get a shadow, or when it's rainy, you stay dry under a tree. So it's all, and you also, of course, you can hear it. Yeah. So this kind of things. The wind moving the little leaves. So here you can see it, the printed tactile version. Because I also guided blind people along this path. So I also wanted to have some access to my scores. And this is why we did also this kind of special edition. And of course, blind people are the experts of space listening. They have to orientate in all these things what I often talk about, but I still learn so much from them. So now I will just show you some pictures, because, you know, when I do a pass, I always try to make an on-site exhibition about it. And this is where the pass starts. So you can see what kind of shoes and clothes, and you see here it's a window's shape. Yeah, it's the shape of Luxembourg, and also you can listen to the audiovisual composition, but not here, for example, special shoes. It's not the one I used for it, but I just wanted uh, uh, to show what kind of soundful shoes could be available for this kind of task. And of course, the shape on the wall. And here it was the exhibition in Tehran where I used the red shoes again and also the clothes. And here you see the shape on the wall. And sometimes along the shape, I point out different kind of things you can experience, like ground pattern, different kind of ground material or obstacles you find along. And here's a shape from Strömstad in Sweden. Yeah, so you also can see that all the shapes have a different have a special language by itself. So and the last part of the passive awareness are the guided walking and listening performances, and I really enjoyed quite quite to do it. So here I also had Katharina Bevon in Berlin to join me in, and also did by herself my kind of guided walking and listening performances. And this is how it looked like, being just with a little group. So in New York, I decided only to take 5 people with me, because you also have to take care that you can really navigate through the city with the audience. So and here we are in Marseille. So it was a little bit of a bigger group. And it's always me with my soundful shoes and the group of people following me. Here in Berlin, the passive awareness around my neighborhood, and here around the Humboldt Forum. Okay, and so this was the passive awareness thing, and now it's time. I would like to invite you, before I jump to something completely different, because I would like to talk a little bit more about my kind of broom ballet, what I invented 3 years ago. And I would like to invite you now for a little exercise. We have maximum 5 minutes, but just stand up, follow the score, do it in your own time. And I would love if you finished it, if you make a drawing, you perhaps also can share it with us on the message board. Yeah, and yeah, we will be back latestly in 5 minutes. So, and then I will tell you a little bit about Prumpani. Okay, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the little exercise. Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning. I'm at the moment in Berlin, and it's already, yeah, nearly 7 o'clock, so it's quite cold outside. It was nice to open the window, and I hear people coming home, and also quite some distance, this typical Berlin subway. Okay, now we change to Wiesenballett, and you also saw that I changed myself a little bit. No, you don't see it because the camera is not on me, but we'll have it later. So I changed myself now, and you will see it later. So Wiesenballett was something I invented in the first year of the pandemic, because it was not possible for me to do any of my travels, and also it was not possible to offer some sound walks and passive awareness walks. But I really missed also to connect with people on the street. So I was quite happy because then I got the invitation to develop something for a festival in Austria. And so I came up with the idea of this Besenballett, in English broom ballet, and in such a meaning as a social sculpture in public space. So it's not about dancing, and it's about each broom, and each broom instrument is different, has a different voice. So what you can see here on the picture, there are 4 different kind of brooms I used for this first broom ballet thing, and they're made of different materials, and you also have to handle it different. So I started to work on this kind of city instrument, which you easily can hear the working hand. And the idea for this came to me when I was in Tehran at Mexico City. In both cities, I woke up in the morning because one of the neighbors was sweeping the walkways opposite of my house. And it was quite early, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I woke up and listened to it. And, it was happening every day in the morning. So after some days, I realized, oh, okay, he has a special rhythm. Long sweeps 3 times, short ones, long sweep 3 times, short ones. So I got the idea, okay, if broom and player fits together, perhaps you can hear it, because then someone create its own rhythm. So this was the start of the broom ballet, and it was really also fascinating because broom is not an instrument for even such brooms are not instruments for indoor. It's an outdoor thing, and it also can be easily masked by any loud sound, but it's also something you can carry easily around the corner, and perhaps then you can hear it better. Yeah. So broom instruments are made of different materials, as I said already. So I always try to connect also with the city cleaning department, also to find out what kind of brooms are used in the city. So here, for example, I was visiting the department in Linz, and we talked about the material and also what kind of where do you use it, for which ground is it really the best one. So here I got a broom in Berlin, and this is also the person who made this broom, which is a very different one. Also from the sound, quite louder. Here, of course, you find a lot of stores with different kind of brooms and sticks, and so it's just really something like a paradise for me. But here you see a collection of different brooms. So wherever I go, I also try to use what you can find on site. So I just collected it. I think this photo is from Zwettl in Austria, and we were just in some local stores and collected all the kind of brooms they offered there. And here, for example, it's Alba Braunschweig, so it's the official cleaning department in Braunschweig. And of course, when you work with such a broom, you also have to learn how to do it. It's not only about the sound, it sounds only good when you use it in a good way. So this is why I always try to talk and also to work with the local city department to learn from them how they use it, and also sometimes I can also show them how about the sound of these brooms. So, and the next one is the city of Munich. So perhaps you see all this kind of plastic brooms, but they are really something special. These brooms are made in Piedmont, and it's a very, very old family company doing brooms, and it's a very sustainable thing, because the brooms the city of Munich is working with is made out of recycled material. And when you also think about where are the brooms used, so on the streets and walkways, so it's you also have to deal with it special. You can't put it easily in the trash because it's so much heavy metal and dust on the street that you also have to recycle it in a different way. So these kind of brooms are made in Piedmont. You just can make new brooms out of it. So, and also it was quite necessary for me to learn from these guys how to deal with it. And here, for example, it's a very fresh picture. I got it in Bangalore in India. I was there for the last 5 weeks. And this broom is very stiff, extremely stiff. And these two guys made it, and it has a very, very interesting sound. And the tree you can see behind us, the broom is made out of material of this tree. This is one of my Bangalore brooms, and here you see my other Bangalore broom. Because when I came to Bangalore for doing broom ballet there, I realized easily, oh, there's no store. I can buy some brooms, and even to get in touch with the city department, city cleaning department was not so easy. But everywhere you find the street cleaning women, and this is also really my favorite sound of Bangalore is the sweeping sound, because it's really so interesting. It's always and everywhere. So what I realized, okay, the sweeping parts, they change it always, but the stick is really this individual thing. So I was quite happy because this nice lady, she had 2 brooms, and one she gave to me also from my time there, and it's also this broom also traveled with me to Berlin back. So when I do a broom ballet, I always invite to a broom casting. What does it mean, broom casting? It's also really interesting. You know, people are curious, okay, broom casting, so what are you searching for? So I come with a lot of different kind of brooms, and I just announce broom casting, and immediately it starts in such a way that people are asking, okay, what is going on here? And then I can tell them, okay, each broom would like to find its player. And, you know, the brooms looks different, but you really have to try it out by yourself. If you like the sound, if you like how to use the broom. So it always takes a little bit of time just to find out which broom fits best to you. So this was a picture. It was in one of the inner courtyards of the Humboldt Castle in Berlin, and here, for example, we just were standing in front of a shopping mall in Berlin, and it was also, you know, quite interesting just to find places which are, yeah, where a lot of people pass by, and then we start to talk and to play with them with the brooms. So it's always me and a lot of brooms, and perhaps another person helping me. But broom ballet is never a fixed ensemble. It's always something which grows on site. So here you see now also what I'm wearing, because I have always, when I do this broom thing, I have this blue coat, and this is also something what I like very much, to have this kind of working clothes color, which is a working coat, a very simple one, and in combination with the sun hat, it's my kind of broom ballet outfit. And here, not the coat, but I also have this kind of trousers. So in front of Brandenburger Tor in Berlin, so we also invited there for doing this broom ballet. And here you see me already talking with a lot of people. And the very nice thing is it's a group of blind people, and they were really fascinated by trying out all the different kind of brooms what I brought there. And here we have also someone, because there's really some special thing what you can do with a broom when you put your ear to the stick. And then you really can also hear a special narration of the city ground. So, and what I always do when a person finds its broom, so we made a picture, like a documentation picture, and for at Humboldt Forum, so we also collected 60 people to make a performance together. So this is a little bit of an excerpt. The pictures, each one found its broom. And here now we also can listen to a little video. It's in Iran, not in Iran, sorry, it's in Bangalore. Thank you. Yeah. So it's really something special, and I really can recommend it to you to try it out by yourself. When you have a broom at home, just put your ear to the stick and also to listen to it while sweeping. So when I do this broom casting, so at the end of the broom casting, I always play with the person who found its broom the care partitur. And care partitur consists of different sweeping styles, and it is the basis of each broom ballet. The care partitur is quite simple. Yeah, it's done in such a way that you don't have any musical or dance experience. It's for elder ones and younger ones, so there are no limits, and it's a very simple thing. And you can just play it together. How we did it now in this video is just a short excerpt, but please let us hear. These two ladies found their broom. So this is what I practice with everyone. So whenever you know the care partitur and whenever there's a broom ballet announced somewhere, you always can join in easily when you have a broom or when you find one. So the performance, after the broom casting, so it was always then an announcement of, okay, we will do a performance at a special time. So and here, for example, in Linz, yeah, it was the first broom ballet performance. So we had something like 80 people. Yeah, and so and with 80 people, I also conduct the care partitur, and we also made variations of it, but the basis was the care partitur. And here you also can see some pictures. So this is always a very, very nice moment when all people are going around pulling rhythmical or just soft the broom behind them. And you can build a circle, you can build lines. So and it was so fitting well for the pandemic thing, because we were asked to keep a distance of 1.5 meters, and just carrying your broomstick in front of you, it's the broomstick itself has this kind of length. So, and here we did this performance at Humboldt Forum, the castle. So it was the opening of the castle, and here we were doing it outside. So also little groups made some choreographies, and this was a very, very nice experience going working with school kids in the age of 7, 8, and they all brought their broom or choose one of my ones, and we were just walking through the city and exploring the acoustic of the city and places with our brooms. And here, for example, this was the last thing what I would like to share with you. So I have 3 more little videos, I hope.
Yeah, and our facilitator, Katrinem, has flew all the way from Berlin, Germany to teach us this art form. Over the course of these 3 weeks, we have explored sounds and spaces, and this is why we decided to take you through the streets of Yelahanka to show you how sound affects whatever place we are in. And why did we choose to take a broom? It's because a broom is a global and cultural icon, and it is present everywhere. And this is what we explored, how one single broom can make so many different sounds using the spaces around us. So as the ending part, we would now like to perform the sweeping score for you. Thank you.
Sweeping score, 2 lines. We start with the solo.
Yeah, so this was quite interesting because I had this unbelievable group of students from Shrishti Manipal Institute of Art and Technology, and we worked on 3 weeks on the topic of broom ballet. So what I said earlier, it was not so easy to find brooms to buy or to get easily. So they have all to build up their own broom with all, you know, the struggling, how you get the sweeping part to the stick, yeah, how to bend it, or different kind of how to twist it. So, and also each of them made it quite individual, the stick itself. And it was really such an interesting work to do with this great group of students. So you also can see that they built their own broom ballet logo, made T-shirts of it, and now we also have the chance to see a second video where they also perform part of the sweeping score.
Sweeping score, this side. On your spots.
So even the conducting was done by them, so I could completely step out and also enjoy how they understand and also interact with the locals, the neighborhood. And you also, what you can see here on this picture, when they performed it to the audience. So a lot of people of the audience started to talk with them, try out the brooms, listen to the sticks. So it was really a very fascinating thing. And so they really also told me that they started to listen different to the city sounds, and even, you know, the sweeping sound, which was always there, they were not so much aware of it before. So my last week in Bangalore, I started to work on a radio piece about walking my Bangalore brooms through Malleshwaram, and this was a part of Bangalore I lived in. And you know, here you see one of the ladies, they do the sweeping with 2 brooms. I was really fascinated, and I also learned it, and now we are playing a duo, she with her 2 brooms and I with my broom with a stick, yeah. And so I will end now with one little video of me walking my broom through Malleshwaram. Yeah, thank you for listening, and yeah, I hope you enjoy also doing something with your broom.
Thank you, Katrinem. Grazie. Adesso, se qualcuno da casa vuole fare qualche domanda, potete scriverla sui commenti, nell'area commenti di Facebook. Nel frattempo faccio io qualche domanda a Katrinem, la farò in inglese e poi la tradurrò. So now I ask some question to you, then I translate it in Italian, then you can answer, okay? Okay.
Thank
So
you.
you talked about walkability, and I was
Yes.
wondering, in which way do you think this walkability of cities affects the way we listen to the sound of the city? So it is just something that affects like the composition of what we listen. So the thing that we listen, the order in which we listen them, or there is also a tactile aspect of listening. So, I was thinking about it when you talked about the brooms and the way the brooms can tell you in a way how the ground is made just when you listen into the stick of it. So is it just the fact that when we listen walking through the city, we listen to the sound and we learn what's around us, or there is something more to it?
I think there's something more to it. So it's, even going out and just walking does not mean that we are walking with open ears. We also, perhaps, are we aware on what kind of ground we are walking? So are we also perhaps, focusing to the destination we are walking, yeah, or are we just walking by listen to the city symphony at the moment? Yeah, so I think it's sometimes it's also interesting just to focus on something, but also then to learn to open up again. So I think the different ground materials, with our normal soft-soled shoes, we don't care so much. Perhaps we care when it's uneven. Yeah. So there's something, but does the ground has its own sound by by the contact of the shoe with the ground? It's really something. The next thing is, is it a open square or is it a narrow street? Even easily when you just pass by a parked cars and there's a car driving, yeah. So you also can hear that the parked cars are also rhythmically structuring the sound of the passing driving car, yeah. So there are so many details. So I think it's when I go out, sometimes I try to focus on something, just perhaps what kind of voices do I hear, or what kind of wind can I hear, yeah. But I also know exactly that I have to reduce my speed, yeah, by walking slowly, also to catch all these different details. So this is also why sorry, just to go. Why I also really learn so much when I work with blind people, because they are really also, they have to deal with so many different informations, and when the noise, the ground noise floor is quite high, so it's stealing space for them. Yeah, they could not hear as far, and so just to navigate through a city, it's for them quite necessary that they also can hear the reflections and some distance, and not only such a narrow space.
Ok, ho dimenticato di tradurre, scusate, ma ho chiesto a Katrinem
Sorry.
appunto se avevo dimenticato di tradurre, ma ho chiesto lei che parlava appunto del concetto di walkability, cioè di come le città possono essere percorse a piedi, insomma, camminando, e in che modo l'architettura, ecco, urbana delle città, il modo in cui possono essere percorse camminando condizioni il modo in cui le persone ascoltano. E Katrinem appunto diceva che c'è una relazione che è anche collegata a un aspetto tattile dell'ascolto, cioè il fatto che noi riusciamo a ricostruire diciamo, cosa c'è intorno a noi anche attraverso l'ascolto e come appunto ciò che c'è intorno a noi è fatto, decomposto. Citavo io anche l'aspetto che abbiamo visto della scopa, che appunto ci riesce a raccontare il tipo di terreno su cui stiamo camminando, che come diceva giustamente anche Katrinem è una cosa di cui a volte non ci rendiamo neanche conto perché camminiamo sovrappensiero. Another question about the blind people that you mentioned. You talked about observation in your process, and I imagine that this term involves also the sight, so looking around. How does these two senses work in your process? How do they relate to each other, and how do you work when you work with blind people? Does your process changes for example, in the composition of a path, or in an installation, or in audiovisual work? Ho chiesto, I translate first.
Yeah.
Chiedevo se appunto in che modo la vista e l'udito collaborano nel lavoro di Katrinem, se appunto c'è appunto come i due sensi collaborano, e cosa cambia quando si lavora con persone cieche.
I have a very good example, because I really don't have to change so much my method, but I realized once that I was also tricked, because I walked with a blind person along my path around the Humboldt box, and afterwards when we talked, he said to me, "Okay, when we turned left there, it sounded like someone is dealing with plastic, yeah. But after some time, it was clear it's not plastic; it was a fountain. So, it was a very new built fountain, and of course, I tried it out by myself by just approaching it with closed eyes. It sounded from far away like plastic, yeah. But even for me, as a person which also can see, it was always a fountain. But this little detail that the fountain is not nice tuned, yeah, was really something I was so happy to learn about this.
Quindi diceva Katrinem che a volte insomma, ha raccontato un aneddoto di qualcosa che è successo in uno dei suoi lavori, in cui il suono di una fontana a una persona cieca appunto sembrava il suono di plastica, in qualcosa di plastico che si muoveva, e quindi c'era appunto questa cosa, è stata una cosa interessante, perché da questo punto, dal modo in cui appunto una persona cieca ascolta, si è potuto scoprire un qualcosa di più che c'era nel suono, che invece una persona che riesce a vedere non ha avuto, insomma, le diceva: io che vedo non ho mai avuto dubbi che quella fosse una fontana. Invece confrontandomi con una persona che invece ha un ascolto molto più approfondito, ho scoperto una cosa diversa, diciamo, sul suono. I think we have the space for a last question that we have a comment in the comment section that asks about how did you translate the parameter of our gate in the Berlin video. in the first video that you showed us. How did you translate the gate parameters, so the foot pressure and the tempo, into musical parameters? Because here we have a comment where one of our listeners tried to guess which are how did you translate it, but maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
I love this question. No, because this was a funny situation. My husband, working in the next room, he was really wondering what I'm doing, because I had to learn each person, how the person is walking. You know, is it a person walking more on the toes, or is it a person so has this kind of hard impact? Yeah. So I really had to adjust how the person is walking, and then I was playing it. There's no software doing it by itself, so I have really to learn the gait of each person, and also to understand what kind of where's a where's the point, where's it light, what kind of what kind of step is fitting to the person best. So just by doing it by myself.
Ok, sì, quindi ho chiesto a Katrinem in riferimento al primo video in cui appunto c'erano delle persone che camminavano in una piazza a Berlino e lei ha sonificato ogni passo praticamente delle persone che c'erano nel video, e quindi diciamo, prendendo spunto dal commento di Maurizio Erbi sulla nostra pagina Facebook, le ho chiesto in che modo lei ha scelto di tradurre quelli che sono, insomma, le caratteristiche di una camminata nei parametri musicali, e quindi insomma Katrina mi spiegava che lei di fatto intanto ha suonato effettivamente sul video, quindi non è un software che ha tradotto l'immagine in suono, e appunto ha analizzato, diciamo, il peso della camminata, se una persona cammina più sulle dita o più sul tallone, e anche e questo, diciamo, è andato a influire sull'altezza e sulla dinamica, mentre ovviamente poi il passo ha un suo ritmo che ha determinato chiaramente il tempo dell'esecuzione. Bene, io direi che possiamo anche salutarci. Saluto Katrinem, la ringrazio. Thank you, Katrinem, and goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Io vi ricordo che la prossima puntata di Parole di Suono andrà in onda la prossima settimana, sempre alla stessa ora, e ci sarà con noi, sempre in diretta dal Canada stavolta, Gianluca Grazioli, che ci parlerà dell'audio immersivo, della sua storia e dei dispositivi che sono stati utilizzati appunto nel corso degli anni per rendere appunto l'audio immersivo. Io colgo sempre l'occasione per ringraziare i sostenitori di Parole di Suono, che sono la Regione Toscana, il Comune e la Città Metropolitana di Firenze, il Ministero per i Beni e le Attività Culturali, il Ministero della Ricerca, Fondazione Cassa e Risparmio Firenze e musicaelettronica.it. Vi ricordo che tutte le lezioni di Parole di Suono saranno poi caricate sul canale YouTube di Tempo Reale, dove potrete riascoltarle. Quindi io vi saluto, vi auguro una buona serata e a venerdì prossimo.